Alright guys, and welcome back to the Saints VD channel. Something content for our match review as Southampton came from behind at the Amex tonight to take a big 3 points at Brighton as they won 2-1 thanks to Danny Ings' late penalty after Yannick Vestergaard's equaliser just before half time. Before we get into it though, this video is kindly sponsored by the guys over at Pitch Sport. Follow us on our socials if you haven't yet already. Subscribe if you haven't as well with your notifications turned on. Right, let's get into the action. It wasn't the best start from Southampton, in my opinion. I thought Brighton, probably the better side, welcoming back 2,000 fans to the Amex. And they had the slight edge, I felt, in that first half. You know, they knocked the ball about well. And we couldn't really cope too well with their five at the back. It just always felt like when we tried to play the ball forwards a little bit, there was always a man there. It was like, you know, that sea of blue. We couldn't really break them down. I thought Moussa Djenepo was struggling on the left-hand side. Walcott was quiet. Armstrong quiet as well. Shea didn't really have any sort of a sniff. Everyone was struggling a little bit, I felt. And, you know, Brighton deservedly went ahead. I felt at the time the penalty was a bit dubious. You know, we've spoken about the handball rule on this channel before with penalties. I find it hard. I really find it hard to see that as a penalty. It kind of, to me anyway, I might be biased, but it just looks like the ball's come towards Welbeck's shoulder, and Prowse's putting his arm up to appeal for handball there, and then it's hit his hand. And you know, with the rule in place, I think the referee's got no choice but to give a penalty. But you know, when we talk about the decision, it's not necessarily the decision itself that's wrong. It's more the rule. So I think, yeah, in the end, maybe it was a penalty in hindsight. And of course, it's easier for me to say that having won the game. But yeah, good penalty from Gross. And you know, Brighton kept knocking on the door, but I felt like we reacted well. In fairness, you know, possession wise, we kept the ball quite well, and that's kind of how we got the goal. Really, kept the ball well. Weren't really breaking through the lines, but we were able to get a corner and great ball from Prowse, and Yannick Vestergaard's there with a sensational header. It's his best goal of the season, you know, better than the Chelsea or Villa ones. It's a sublime effort. It just looped over Ryan and into the back of the net. And you could argue it's against the run of play, but it was an absolutely crucial goal. You know, going into half-time, 1-1, especially scoring just before the break. You know, it gave us the momentum. And, you know, I expected us to come out in the second half and, you know, go and get a couple more goals and win the game. It wasn't that simple. Brighton, you know, kept themselves in it, even though we were knocking the ball about better. With Ings coming on full, Djenepo at half-time, it had to be done. Djenepo was booked. He was going to get sent off. But, you know, I think with Ingsy back in the side, we just looked a bit more calm, a bit more collected, and we looked like ourselves a bit more again. And in the end, you know, we knocked on the door. Walcott had a good chance. You know, we were getting the ball forwards a bit more, and it looked like Brighton were tiring. I think that's where the penalty comes from. You know, ball over the top, reaches Walker-Peters. Solly March has got nothing else to do but to foul him. You know, Walker-Peters was always getting into the box. It's definitely a foul. You know, whether it's outside of the box, that's obviously the debate. For me, I thought it was outside of the box. I think I can understand sort of why VAR has given it. It took so long. It took about 2 minutes, I think, for VAR just to give it. Yeah, it's a very tight decision. I think Brighton have been hard done by tonight, if I'm honest with you. But of course, you take it, you know, with 10 minutes to go, and then you've got Ings putting the ball on the spot. Excellent penalty into the side netting, and then after that, you just hope that we can hold on to it. You know, Brighton did have a few scares, but in the end, we held strong, and it's a massive win. It takes us up to 5th, and I think especially after the Man United result, you know, with the disappointment of that, it was vital that we showed a reaction. And yeah, I think we've gotten away with one tonight. I do think a draw was probably the fair result. But, you know, we've shown that we can win ugly. It was like that Burnley game earlier on in the season where we said, you know, we just needed that extra edge, and we get the 3 points. You know, we weren't doing that last season. Ralph said it just now in his post-match interview. We wouldn't have won that game last season. You know, it shows a real progression in the side's mentality. And, you know, like I said, 5th in the league. We've got Sheffield United at home welcoming some fans back to St Mary's next week. You've got to look at that and think another 3 points, really. And then it's a difficult Christmas period. It has to be said. But again, you're thinking points are there to be picked up. But there's absolutely no reason why we can't finish 2020 in the top 6. You know, I don't want to be too over optimistic, but I think I'm right in the sense that, you know, with the games that we've got and where we are now, yeah, we can be finishing 2020 in the top 6. But yeah, there's not much else that needs to be said. It's a great result for us. You know, moves us into 5th. Was it deserved? No. I think a draw was probably the fair result, but, you know, we'll take it every day of the week. I know it's a short review, but thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed it, leave it a like. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the game. Follow us on all of our socials. Subscribe down below if you haven't yet already. And we'll see you next week ahead of the Sheffield United game. See you later, guys.